All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. You are watching another episode of Every Day is a New Day. And over the next hour, we're going to be speaking with today's guest, Neil Thrussell, and getting to learn about him, his story, how he keeps a positive mindset, has chosen to move forward beyond his life challenges, and more about what he does and who he is and all that stuff. So thank you for being here. I'm going to take a real quick second to check on Facebook and make sure that we are showing up live. And I believe that we are already, but let's just do a quick little test check. Yes, we are. I see us. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and close out Facebook, but we can still see your comments. So if you are here with us, we would love to be able to say hello to you and also answer your questions. So if you have any questions that come up or comments, we would love to take a look at those as well. So please do go ahead and like, comment, and share this interview out as well if you know people who may also be interested in hearing about what we're talking about. So with that said, hello and welcome, Neil.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. But we were just talking off air, and I don't really know if we can be friends anymore. You have a strong Irish background, and I have a strong English background.
I know. So Neil and I were just talking right before we started, and he was talking about how there are a lot of other Thrussells out there that he's connected with. And I shared with him that a few years ago, I don't know, the time just passes so quickly, but at some point in time, there were some O'Neills over in Ireland who had a huge family reunion, and they invited the O'Neills, those of us over here in America, to go. And lo and behold, found out, we've got at least another 100 O'Neill relatives we didn't know existed. So that was pretty cool. But no, Neil, let's call a truce.
Okay.
Well, so let's see here. I am going to read just a little bit about you, and then I would love for you to share with the audience more about who you are, Neil. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Neil Thrussell is a 4-time international best-selling author of the A Warrior's Heart book series. He's also the co-founder of the Shin Dao Institute and a master of the Shin Dao as well. He's a speaker, facilitator, life coach, Reverend, web geek, adventurer, husband, son, uncle, and lover of life. And he believes that everybody, especially you, has a life purpose and that you are here born to fulfill that purpose. And so with that said, hello and welcome, Neil. And please tell us more about who you are and what you do.
That pretty much says it all. I love to do many things, and I'm one of those that if I take something on, I jump in head first, feet first, everything, I'm all in. Those that know me, I'm a 4 times best-selling author, but I'm not a storyteller. So people were surprised when I actually sat down and wrote a book. I've always been a writer, but I've been a closet writer. Nobody could ever see what I was writing. But then one day, I just decided, I turned to my wife at that time of 30 years, and I said, I think I need to write a novel. And my wife, without batting an eye and very supportive, she just goes, well, do you? Okay, well, just let me know how I can help. And that was it.
Aww. Okay, well now with that said, you've written a series now, isn't it a 4-part series?
It's actually a 3-part series, but I had the books go bestseller, and then I had the audiobook go bestseller, and then I have I write spiritual fiction, and then I wrote a very tongue-in-cheek book called The Relationship Survival Guide, and it went bestseller.
Nice. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
How did you feel encouraged or inspired to start to share what you write?
Oh, I was blessed or cursed, whatever way you look at it, with a reoccurring dream. for 2 weeks, I had this dream and I couldn't get it out of my head. And then I said to my wife, I need to write this story. I need to write a novel. And then it went away. So the story just sat in there and I did nothing. And I was going, oh, well, maybe it's one of these short-lived things. About 2 weeks after the last time I had a dream, it came back, and it came back in vibrant colors, and it rounded out the characters and everything. And I went, oh my gosh, I got it right. And I woke up on a Friday morning, and as the universe, God, Providence, anything that you want to include for Lady Luck was there, and my schedule was free. So I got up at like 6 in the morning and I just started typing, and the story just came out of me.
Wow. And was that one of the spiritual fiction stories that you mentioned?
Yes, that was my first book, A Warrior's Heart, The Awakening. And the story is about a 40-year-old a man going through a midlife crisis. He only believed in things that he could feel and touch. So it was only the tactile senses. There was nothing in his life that was ever about the woo-woo or possibilities or chance. It was all about what he could force and create with his hands. He was a pilot and a very arrogant person. And well, when you only trust yourself and you don't trust another to do their jobs, you make fuel miscalculations and you crash a plane in the South Pacific. And
wow.
Even that was a beautiful gift, because I had this dream in my dream that this occurred in the Marshall Islands. So when I started looking up what the Marshall Islands were, and there's history behind it, that the Americans, the good old USA, when they were taking the islands back from the Japanese, they pretty much shelled and just decimated everything. So I have a second character in the story, which is a Japanese World War II survivor, and he was in the Marshall Islands. So I went on to a war forum, and both sides, the Axis and the Allies, laughed at me and said, can't be done, where I needed to do it. But I needed it in my heart to be there. So I trust the universe, and I went away. I trusted God, and I came back about 3 times with different little stories behind it. And then all of a sudden, one day, I said, this is how it would work. And both sides went, yep, that could work. And boom, the story just flourished, and it was from there.
Nice. So you trusted your guidance, and
yes.
It didn't lead you astray.
No, I just needed to be committed to the project and ask the right questions.
I love it. That's awesome. That's really cool, Neil. I love that story. So tell us more. What is your story? How do you respond to that question?
It depends on where I'm sitting in any moment. You know, if I'm in the hospital, I've injured myself. So my story is that I'm a natural. I love to do things. So as an adventurer, I've been prone to accidents. Hence, as we were talking offline, that I've broken this collarbone 4 times, playing soccer, martial arts. If I'm sitting in a personal development seminar, workshop, or personal growth, I talk about that I've been blessed that even at a very young age, I knew what I wanted. Out of high school, I owned my first business. I was still in high school. We only incorporated it after I left high school.
I always think that is so inspiring when I hear of a kid or, teenager, high school or whoever, someone who's young, who takes on such a big venture like that. So what was your business, and how did you feel confident enough to do that? And how did you know what to do?
There's a million questions.
I know.
Let's just say I enough to figure out that I could fail. And I didn't know what I didn't know, like how over daunting that the adult mind thinks that all of these things. I just went out and did it. And the business is we were a disc jockey. So we played, our first venue was the high school dance. So we did a dance at Sock Hop, and then we did an evening dance. And then people said we were pretty good. So then we did more and more and more.
So it was a DJ business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Back when you actually had records.
Whoa, tell us more. Just kidding.
So I've always been driven. I've always known. Like, as another example, I was madly in love at 17. And I was going to marry this woman. The only problem was she wanted children. I didn't want children. I am a great uncle, but I've never wanted children. So I had to call off this relationship at 17, 18 to say, I love you, but we cannot continue down this path. So I've always been blessed to know and have the drive to go and get it. So it puts me in an anomaly that many people don't know exactly what they want. So, which I've had to learn as a coaching practice, that not everyone is like me. So as a coach, I would say, well, just go and do it. And people will go, well, how? And I had to reverse engineer it so that I could help these people, because not everyone knows exactly what it is that they want. And I know everyone has a purpose.
Well, so tell us more about that. What's that about for you? How do you know everyone has a purpose?
Well, let's back this up. I know everyone has a purpose, because whether you believe in God or don't, we're not here just to go to work, make money, pay the bills, and do the mundane, get old, and die. We're all here, in my mind, to do great things. And some of them we're meant to land on the moon or be rock stars, actors, find the cure for cancer. But great things to every individual is different. Your great thing could be the best mother that your friends and family have ever seen. To be the best at something is your destiny. You're here to do it. And the other thing is, I believe you're here to do what it is you love. And our parents are well-intentioned, but sometimes parents, society, older people, or even our peers beat our dreams out of us. And back to, I believe we all have a purpose. If you have forgotten or you don't know your purpose, I will give you your purpose. Your purpose is to find your purpose.
Nice. What's one of the first steps someone could take to explore and find out what their purpose is if they don't know?
Find a few moments, however you can find some calm, whether it's for a walk, whether it's sitting under a tree, wherever you find a sense of peace and tranquility, and just ask yourself, what is it you like to do? That's the starting question. Don't run down the garden path about, well, how do I make money and all of this? It's like, that's not the point. Find out what it is that you love to do.
Yeah, like oh, I'm hearing a little bit of a background noise. So kind of like that question, if money wasn't an object, what would you do? And so just taking money out of the equation, because that kind of throws us off sometimes, and just get to that place that connects to your passion, connects to the things that you love to do, the things that make you come alive. I love that quote. The world doesn't need and this is how every quote comes out of my head. It's like half done. So, so here's my version of it. It's something about it. The world doesn't need more people who blah, blah, blah. The world needs more people who've come alive. And I believe we do that by connecting to our passions and our purpose and things of that sort.
Absolutely. I don't believe the universe would put you on this planet, or God would put you on this planet, if you were not meant to fulfill your passions, your joys, and what lights you up.
Yeah. So Neil, okay, let's go back to, thank you for adding that, because I do love to discuss life purpose and why we are here, and looking at this journey of life, this experience of life, as more than just, oh yeah, I have a job, I go to work, and then I got to go to the grocery store, and I come home and I watch some TV and I do it all over again. Like, I think it's more than that. There's more to life than that. But I would love to hear from you. What's been one of your biggest lessons in life? Something that I imagine came out of some sort of adversity that you had to move through and beyond. Will you share with us an experience in your life like that?
Absolutely. June 12th, 2012, I had temporary memory loss. Lasted 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And there's a long, convoluted story, but the easiest way is I had a memory loss to the point where, well, I still have a hard time remembering quotes, even my own quotes. So it is to the point where I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and if I didn't have my GPS, even though I've been best friends with somebody for 5 years, I couldn't get there. Wow. I could not come back. If the route was different, if they changed the route on me, like I drove the same way, I was fine. But all of a sudden they put a roadblock in there without GPS, I couldn't get. So it was horrific. It was scary because I wasn't on stage. I was in the midst of writing my second book and I was having issues with that. But the lesson was, you had no past in my life. So every time I met Kim O'Neill, she was a new person. So I had no prejudice against anything that you ever did. Anything that you ever said to me didn't matter. So you were a new person, and I had to listen to you. I had to make a heartfelt connection just to you so that I could figure out how I knew you, how good of friends we were, because I couldn't trust my memory to know that we had been lifelong friends and we did all of this.
Now, how did that happen, Neil?
The long story, I'll try to, since I had, through blood tests, it was diagnosed with high mercury levels. So they narrowed it down to that I was a rotten child and I had a mouthful of amalgam fillings. So I was having my amalgam fillings removed. And at the same time, I was having chelation therapy. And the dentist said it. The doctor that was doing the chelation therapy said, do not do these on the same week. Do not. Sign on the dotted line. Sign on the dotted line. Do not. For whatever reason, Neil the idiot, and I don't blame anyone, went and had both done on the same day. I had dental surgery and a chelation treatment, both on a Monday morning, and by 5 o'clock on the Monday night, I was in trouble.
Wow. And were you alone when you first realized that you'd lost some of your memory, or was there someone at least with you?
I was actually in a martial arts class, and we were doing what's called a pattern. I had led the martial arts class with the pattern the week before, so I'm told. And the master of the school goes, pattern 3 ready, and I stand there, and then he calls pattern 1, go, and I didn't know it. Had no clue. And the instructor, Master Bobby's looking at me and going, like, what's going on? He knew something, because he could just see the terror in my eye. And my heart's pounding because I know this, but I don't know this.
Right.
So I was terrified.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so then I'm telling him, and I says, I don't know it. And he's looking at me like I'm weird. And I said, no, Master Bobby, I do not know this.
And so it sounds like that happened in the middle of class. Like you walked into class knowing everything, and then all of a sudden.
Yes. And it just, the mercury had settled in some of the soft tissues and blocked some of the synapses. So I was able to continue with martial arts, and my training continued. But there is a period of about 2 weeks before the incident and 2 weeks after where I have a hard time because I had to relearn and retrain that exact pattern. I will still stumble on that pattern, and everybody chuckles, goes, ha, 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 we know what happened, high five. But yeah, wow. To the point that it affected, like, you could tell me something, and then I could turn around, do 360 and go, okay, what was that? Let's do this. So the gift in all of this, I'm going back to the gift, was to be fully present to you. As you were in front of me, nothing else existed. And that was true, because nothing else in my mind existed other than the conversation with you. And it allowed me to fall deeper into love with the people that I was in front of. It's like, it was a beautiful experience. And now, as I carry it forward, just to go into that experience, it's now a habit. If I stand in front of somebody and we're talking, it's just like I can see into your beautiful smiling face, and it's just like,
So did this only affect people, or did this it affected then what you knew about that class? The level 3 thing that
it was all over. It affected places. So till I got familiar, so it took about 2.5 years before the memories started to clear.
Okay.
To come back, and the synapses started to fire back the way it was. Okay. But initially it was places, it was dates, and which was horrific for me, because in my marriage, I am the one that remembers all of the dates. My wife, we're not very typical in that. So like I can remember I got engaged on February 11th. My wife is going, when did we get engaged?
Oh, wow. So what was that experience like? It sounds like it definitely brought you to a place of becoming more present, like you said, with the people in front of you. But tell us more about that experience, and how did you move beyond? Because I'm sure you didn't know, okay, in 2 years I'll be good to go again. How did you keep going and move through that?
I discovered I took it hard for about, I don't know, I'm going to probably say it was less than it was, but for about 2 months, because I couldn't trust anything. There was no trust. So I knew I could. I was working for Alberta Environment and Parks, our provincial government, which would be the equivalent of your state, and I could get to work and I could do repetitive jobs. But if you moved or changed the workflow, I was in trouble. So people, if you could say, hi, my name is, Kim O'Neill, I'd go, hi, Kim, great to meet you. And a week later, you would say hi, and I'd be going, and I'd have to ask, how do we know each other? And usually by the second or third time, people knew me, would go, okay, Neil, we met such and such place. So people that were in my inner circle helped me along. So it was absolutely terrifying initially. And then it became a trust exercise. And I withdrew from facilitation. I withdrew from coaching because I could make heartfelt connections, but I couldn't call upon enough of my cognitive exercises and enough of my experiences to truly be valuable to my clients. So after about a year, I felt comfortable that, hey, I can go back on stage. And to celebrate me coming back on stage, I offered a class, a couples communication class, and I said, hey, I haven't been on stage in a year. I'm coming back. My memory's working. I'm giving this away. Please, everyone, join. And I had people that have never been to one of my workshops come out of the woodwork and just share and be with me. And it was beautiful. I was working with Tina at the time, my wife, and I'd have to go, okay, there's a quote here, and I know it, but you're going to have to tell me.
How fitting that happened earlier.
Yeah. And so then it was just back to determination. It was back to trust that I don't know how this was going to work out, but I knew it was going to work out, and I just kept going forward. And I had people that it's, 6 years later, going, and I spoke at 6 months ago at Unity Church of Calgary, and they one of the participants or the congregation knew me for the last 18 years, and she goes, I didn't know you had suffered through this. So it was like, really? So I didn't let the world beat me down. My positive attitude, my openness, and I was humbled, and the people around me rallied and supported me. So it was easier. It wasn't easy, but it was easier to keep moving forward because I knew I was going to get past this. I knew that there was, because I'm goal oriented, I knew that there was big shiny lights at the end.
Nice. So it sounds like a combination of feeling support from those around you, paired with your determination to move forward, and also the choice to have a positive outlook, that all those things combined supported you in moving through that experience.
Correct. I probably am, once again, I'm an anomaly that through most of my life, I have not had many bad days. And like I'll share something very, very personal. About 15 years ago, my wife and I were going through a tough time. And it wasn't because it was she was going through a tough time because she didn't know who she was. So she was thinking of leaving the relationship. And I'm like, okay, I don't want you to leave, but how do I support you to find out who you are and still stay in this relationship? And many people were just like, you said this and you didn't slam doors and didn't get mad. And I was like, no, because I'm absolutely in love with this woman. And it wasn't that she didn't love me. She just didn't know who she was. So how could I not support her?
That is so beautiful, Neil. Okay, so tell us more. So then what happened?
So we stayed in the relationship, and she needed opportunities to just to be her, because it was her issues that she wasn't saying her truth. She wasn't doing what supported her, because back to the very stereotypical, she was doing what she thought the good wife should do, as opposed to looking after what lit her up and got her, fulfilled her niche and fulfilled her heart. And it was when she fulfilled her heart, well then, and did what she loved, our relationship went to the next level. And as we evolved and we both, I'll just take a quick segue. We run something called the Shin Dao, which Shin is heart, Dao is the way. And as part of this was leading us into that everything that we both have done from then always comes from our heart. And it was a painful lesson and a reaffirmation to me that yes, I was living and I am living from my heart. And that was just an affirmation of that I was actually walking my talk.
Wow. Okay, so Neil, I'm curious. So what's the timeline? When did you lose your memory? Was that before or after you guys decided to start the Shin Dao Institute?
Oh my! So memory went, then Shin Dao formally came about. Because my books are written from the spiritual center of living the way of the heart. So the books were the catalyst for me to help explain how a person could live from the heart. And then it allowed me to deepen my understanding of what that meant. And then we used to own a company called Best You Can Be. And so then we transitioned from Best You Can Be to the Shin Dao Institute because it became bigger. The Shin Dao Institute in our minds is like heart math. It is bigger than us. It's not my philosophy. It's a bigger spiritual philosophy than just one person.
So now you and your wife are the co-founders of Shin Dao Institute? Okay. And I'm a big believer that we teach most what we've needed to learn. And then pretty much anytime I have to go and present something that maybe I haven't spoken about in a while, knock on wood, there always, very often, tends to be a new experience that enters into my life that reteaches me about that very thing that I'm supposed to teach others or talk about. And I'm just wondering if you feel like your experience of losing your memory, or if your wife's experience of not knowing who she is, if those did those come together and support the two of you and what you're doing in the Shin Dao Institute now?
Absolutely. And they're just all a jumble, and they're inclusive. And as we travel down our path, and as somewhere as we're building, as I'm writing the books, my wife was going through this exercise in herself. We had another life-altering experience. We had a friend, a married couple, and we were camping with them over the weekend with their son-in-law and their daughter. On the Monday, the son-in-law, in a drug-induced state, killed our friend Gord.
Oh my goodness.
So from that point, from a place of absolute love, how we had to learn to reconcile that we can still love John, who did this heinous crime, and still share and honor Gord, who is dead because of this heinous crime. To learn that when you love, you still have to love, love the person, not because of their stupidity and action. When most of our friends were ready to go, and if we could have got a posse together, there would have been a manhunt, and but we could only love John. We don't have to respect him. We don't have to understand what he did. But from my philosophy, we needed to just love John. And because we knew that he was here for a lesson. I don't know the lesson, but we know John is here for a lesson.
That takes a lot of maturity and a lot of courage to embrace that kind of perspective from a situation like that. That's definitely a whole other story. So I'm not going to dive into that, but thank you for sharing that with us, because that's huge. That's I'd love to know if anybody watching has any thoughts on that, or if they've ever had a situation where something happened that just seemed, I imagine, unfathomable, hard, challenging to embrace or to accept, and choosing to adopt an outlook, a mentality about it that ultimately serves the greater good, but probably took some inner struggles to go through. I mean, did you have to kind of, I guess work through some of your own inner challenges about, okay, we're going to choose to love this guy who just killed our friend versus, choosing to be angry and allowing that to take over?
For us, for Tina and I, it was relatively easy in the privacy of our own home and the privacy of just us together, come to grips with it. It was more difficult because we couldn't share that with the greater population that were affected with it, because it was harmful to their growth. So we just had to remain quiet and let them grieve. They had to go through the grieving process. And if we show up the way it's just the way it is, we would circumvent their grieving process.
I hear you. I totally
had to just be quiet and honor and love the people that were in their grieving process.
Yeah. Wow. So Neil, so it definitely sounds like love is a value of yours, or at least coming from a heart space. Will you share with us, tell me if that's accurate, or what else do you value?
Absolutely. Everything that I endeavor to do comes from a place of love. And I am human, so even though in my worldly, oh yes, I come from, it doesn't always happen. But the other values I have is loyalty, friendship. I have friends from when I was 12 years old. My best men from my wedding 33 years ago. We're still in contact. Friendship, loyalty. I love to have fun, even though we're talking about all of these tragedies in my life that have helped mold my ability and capacity to love. I still love to have fun. I like to do crazy things. Some of these personal growth workshops we've been at, you're standing at an edge of a cliff and they're going to go, okay, now we need you to jump. And it's like 40 feet down into a river. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go. And it's just like, life is an adventure. Just go live it.
Nice. Well, I love what you said a moment ago about, these challenges in your life, but they taught you different lessons that really support, what sounds like is your bigger purpose and mission in life. And of course, the work you do through the Shin Dao Institute. So I think once we start to look at our experiences from that kind of a perspective, then it's not so much about, this awful thing happened to me. We can start to embrace it happened for me. So yes. Yeah. Do you want to share anything else on that perspective?
Yes, we all have terrible tragedies, but it's how long we spend in those defining tragedies. I don't say if you've had something terrible in your life, you are entitled to feel that, but don't let it define who you are. Move past it, whether that's through counseling, therapy. Don't let it ruin your life. This is where I'm the anomaly. Just breathe through it and move forward.
Well, and I think that's the connection to, a challenging experience in life and life purpose. I know for me, some of the hardest times in my life, it was that sense of feeling a purpose, connected to a life purpose, that helped pull me through, helped me move beyond, whatever I was experiencing. And And if someone doesn't have that, I can see how maybe they think that this is all there is, just this awful experience, and you can't see anything else. Tell us more about the work that you guys do with the Shin Dao Institute. That's really intriguing.
We're the heart, everyone experiences connectedness to their heart differently. So all our work involves with, we call the 4 pillars. So everything that you need to do is, so I actually this is back to my memory issues. So, because I know them, I wrote them, but off the top of my head. So everything we do, we need to develop our body, we need to inspire your mind, open your heart, and elevate your spirit. So all our programs incorporate and encompass. So our bodies, our mind, our spirit. And so we do meditation work, we've done breath work, we offer a program called the Sacred Journey, which is just an experience. We do a vision quest. We're getting people out of the normal and into their body of experience. And it's just not sitting in a classroom and writing. It's like, if you want to meditate, then just meditate.
It sounds like you're helping people go deeper within themselves and get to know themselves beyond what they've known up to, the point when they decide to start working with you.
Absolutely. And because in most cases, the fear of the unknown is what stops us. And I'm like, don't let it stop you. It's like, just embrace it. Just go. Take the next step. It's like, there's a YouTube video of a woman that did something like for 40 days, something she feared and she just did one after another. Like, she posed nude for an art class. She did skydiving. She did really crazy things so that she could get over our fears. And we, in most cases, are the limiting factor in our lives. It's not the lack of money, it's not the lack of friends, but it's us. It's that little voice in our head that we give so much power to. If we could just, I'm not saying we need to get rid of it, because sometimes that little voice actually protects us, but we need to be able to dial it down and go, hey, thanks, but right now I'm going to go and do this.
Yeah. I've been reading, for the last week, I've been reading Grant Cardone's The 10X Rule. And I'm reading this book. Have you ever read it by the way?
No, but I'm thinking, if we're 10X in our time, let's go.
Well, it's this concept of fear is something he certainly talks about. And, someone challenged me to read the book in 7 days. I said, okay, fine, I'm up for it. I'll do it. And what I love, though, and this is going to sound so obvious, but you know how sometimes you hear something again for the millionth time and all of a sudden it kind of like sinks in deeper or clicks into place and you're like, oh, you kind of get it in a new way. I kind of felt I had this experience when he was talking about fear and, he brought up the whole false events appearing real or false evidence appearing real. I've heard it both ways. And he talks about, you want to, now I don't agree with everything he says, but this is what he talks about. He says, that you want to have at least some level of fear in your life always, because if you're feeling that, and we could also just reframe that to say some level of maybe anxiety or discomfort, with situations that you're in and things, because staying with that, then that tells you that you're growing, that you're moving forward in life. When we stay comfortable for too long, then, that's where, the comfort zone, it can be real comfortable, but then maybe things don't progress the way that we'd like to see in our life. So anyway, so he talks about that. But then the next thing he said that, again, sounds so simple, is think of it this way. Everybody has got things that they're afraid of in life. Everybody. So I think one of the false beliefs we tend to take on is if there's something new we want to try and we see someone else doing it and we're like, oh, they're doing so good at that. And gosh, I don't know if I could ever do as good as they're doing. Like, everybody has something they're afraid of and they're working through. So that's why you just do it anyway, because it's like an even playing field. Everyone's afraid. I don't know. Yeah. There's something about that all of a sudden just neutralized, fears that I have that come up, and that sometimes I feel, I want to just say, okay, fine, stop. I don't want to feel this anymore. I don't want to go any further. But that's right. Everybody's got some level of fear. So if we can just sort of normalize that and know that we're all, doing the best that we can with what we've got, right? And we're all moving towards the things that are important to us in life, and just say, okay, yeah, I see you, fear. This is my version now. This is not what he says, but okay, I see you, fear, and I'm going to do it anyway. So let's go. And it's the more time we give to the fear, well, then the fear grows and maximizes. But if we starve the fear, now this is kind of back to what Grant Cardone says, if we starve the fear of its fuel, which is time, and as soon as we feel a fear, say, oh, okay, that means I got to do that thing now. And, try not to wait or procrastinate, make excuses, delay doing something, and just act on it as soon as you can. Then it's going to be easier to move beyond it and, get rid of it or whatever, for it to transform into something different. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. And the other piece that I'd like to add is, in most cases, somebody somewhere in this universe in this world of 7 billion people has already done it or experiencing this experience with you. Yeah. So learn from them and recognize that, many of us are not the first person to do something. And if we are, well, good for us. But most of us are doing it for the first time for ourselves. So recognize that there's others that have done it in the same, from better socioeconomic backgrounds, from worse socioeconomic, some other countries, wherever. So we're not alone. So just get her done.
Have you heard of the app Insight Timer?
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay, that's okay. It's I've had a few different friends mention it to me. I have it on my phone. I've actually only used it once, but as you're talking about that, about there always being someone else who's already done or is maybe doing the same thing that you're doing, I just got this visual of Insight Timer. So I know it's a popular app, so I'm just want to touch on it really quick. For anybody who's using Insight Timer or would like to start to develop a regular practice of meditation, this might be something that you'd find useful. Download the app Insight Timer, and what it shows you is it shows you people all over the world who are literally meditating at the exact same time you are. And yeah, and I know there's a lot of people who are big on meditation. I'm big on meditation. I can, obviously I can tell you are as well, but I know there's still a lot of people who are just starting to consider meditating and a practice like that. And it can be kind of something that, maybe creates some apprehension, that, some anxiety about. So I just want to, give that visual, just like anything in life. So let's say maybe it's, starting a Facebook Live show like this. Like I might think I'm the only one because I'm only in my world right now, right? But like how many other thousands of people are doing Facebook Live shows right now and, moving through whatever anxieties or fears they have. It's like we're never truly alone. Yeah,
and so somebody may have a show and then they're going, well, how do I get past the 10,000 people? Or how do I get past the 20,000? We all, like even one of the greats, Tony Robbins, I don't know what his fears are, but he's got blocks. He's got a coach. That's just as an aside, that's one of my things that I would like to know. And of all of these people, so whoever you look up to in any industry, find out who their teachers are.
That's a good one. Yeah. And start to read those books or listen to their videos or something like that. Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah. It's like Wayne Dyer has since passed, but find out, like, where did Wayne Dyer, who taught Wayne Dyer? And you discover it was a lot of the books back from, like, Think and Grow Rich, and the Master Key System. A lot of the New Thought spiritual leaders were all in that. Ernest Holmes were all his teachers. So you go and learn from the teachers, like your teacher's teachers. Always find out the lineage, and then you can actually short circuit and get what they're learning.
I love that. That's a great idea. Yeah. And I think it also just shows about how, we're all passing down our knowledge and our wisdom, and then we get to add on to that in whatever way is unique to us. What do we have to add to what we can learn from Wayne Dyer or Wayne Dyer's mentor, and and just continue to build on what's already known and expand on it.
Absolutely, because we look back into history with Aristotle and Plato. They say we're quoting some of their wisdom because we think it's so cool. And yet, if we go back and look at the masters, where are they getting their information?
Neil, I just noticed we're already at the end of the hour. That honestly blows my mind. So this went by really, really quick. I would love for you to share with the audience what are some tips that you have to give people who are maybe in this space of learning how to trust or connect to their heart more, anything along those lines. What would you like to share with the audience?
As my running coach would say, forward is always a great pace. So just take a tiny step, always keep moving. Wherever you are in your evolution, just accept it that you are here right now. Don't beat yourself up. Just go. I am here. What is the one next step that I can do to grow? Whatever it is. And just learn to love yourself and love yourself for where you are, and keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. Never stop growing. Never stop learning. Most North Americans, once we finish college and we've got our bachelor's, or those few that take their master's and their PhD, then they're done. We quit learning. Don't do that. Take a course from wherever. Take an art class, music class, a philosophy class. Keep learning. And it is through that insatiable desire to learn, you will learn about yourself, and you will learn about community. You will learn about other people, and just love.
I love it. Yes, love, just love. Yes. Love is that emotion that it's so much more than what we might think it is. It allows us to expand and continue to grow, like you said. And I also think too, what you were touching on is, that having that curiosity, being open and curious about, what else can I learn, or, and what's next? How can I move forward? Things like that. That's what I was hearing. You didn't use that word, but that's what I heard. I heard the word curiosity when you were speaking.
Absolutely. Being curious is a great place to be.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, Neil. How can the audience connect with you after the show if they'd like to find out more about the work you do?
The easiest way is to go to neilthrussell.com, and neilthrussell.com, and that's the easiest, fastest way to get a hold of me.
And Neil, actually, let me ask you one more question. What's next for you?
Actually, I'm in the process of writing. It was a trilogy in my mind for A Warrior's Heart, and the characters came back to me in a dream. So I am actually writing a fourth book, which was a trilogy, and now is a quadrilogy. It's 4-book series.
That is so cool. I love that came to you through dreams. That is so exciting.
And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to blather on here for an hour and be your guest. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, and thank you to all those who've been with us live and those that are also watching on the replay. We'd love to hear from you. So if you enjoyed what you heard in our conversation today, then please do leave a comment or connect with one of us individually and also continue that conversation and connection that way. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to find out about future Every Day is a New Day shows, you can go to KimO'NeillCoaching.com or visit my Facebook page at Kim O'Neill Coaching, and O'Neill is Oneill. And lastly, I just want to remind you that there is always, 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 I got to say it as many times as I feel it, always hope. Wherever you are today does not have to be where you are tomorrow. And choosing to connect with love and trust. And I want to throw in there, be easy on yourself. That's how you get to experience that new day and move forward in your life. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again to Neil, and we'll see you all next time.